She said the chemo made her nauseous. Then I watched her kiss my boyfriend on my phone screen. It was 3:42 p.m. on a Thursday. I remember the exact time because I was tracking Ben's location on Find My, watching his little icon bounce around South Beach when he was supposed to be at his mom's chemo appointment. She'd told us last month, ovarian cancer, late stage. No big announcement, just a text in our family group chat that started with, "Please don't panic." I did. Ben didn't. He said it wasn't his place to question how someone handles a diagnosis, said she deserved privacy, said he was proud of how grave she was being. He started taking her to appointments, picking up her meds, canceling date nights to sit with her while she cried. I didn't question it. Not when he started keeping a bag in the car, not when he said his phone died during a 3-hour pharmacy run, not even when I found one of her eyelashes on the dashboard. She probably just leaned over while I was driving. But Thursday? Thursday broke the spell. I was running late to my cousin's baby shower and stopped to grab her gift from the boutique near Coral Gables. I parked. I texted Ben a selfie of me in the car. "Made it. You guys okay?" No reply. Then I checked Find My. Ben's icon was just 4 blocks away. Not at Mount Sinai, not at a clinic. At Luna Azul, an upscale rooftop bar with $20 margaritas and a strict no sweatpants policy. I told myself, maybe he's picking up a to-go order, maybe he's taking her somewhere special after another awful treatment. Maybe, but I knew. I tapped on the shared location, watched his icon stay still. Check the time again. 3:42 p.m. That's when I felt the buzz. Shared album, Luna Moments. You've been added by Savannah. Savannah. His ex. The girl who moved to Portland to find herself. The girl with 73K Instagram followers and a highlight reel of flower crowns and full moons. The first photo was harmless. A drink and a flute, a velvet booth, a shot of Miami skyline. Then the second. Savannah in a silk headscarf sitting across from Ben, holding his hand with both of hers. And the third, her kissing him. Not a peck, not a hug, a slow, hungry, closed eye kiss in full daylight with her fingers gripping his jaw like she owned it. Caption? Love is medicine. I dropped the phone. Someone behind me honked. I realized I'd been blocking a driveway. I drove off without the gift. I didn't go to the baby shower. I didn't call him. I went home and turned on the pet cam. He had installed it for security when we got our rescue dog, Luna. It pointed straight into the living room. He had the app on his phone. So did I. It wasn't until I opened the archived footage that I realized he'd forgotten to disarm it. The video was from Monday. Ben walked in with Savannah. She wasn't wearing the scarf. She was laughing. He pulled her onto the couch. Then she said it. Does she really think I'm bald? Ben laughed, said something muffled. Savannah replied, clearer, "You know I only made that chemo shit up to get your attention, right?" I stared at the screen, rewound, played it again, louder. Chemo shit? Made up? To get your attention? And then she added, "You're such an easy fix, Ben." I stood there in silence. Phone still playing the footage, my dog whining softly at my feet. I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I clicked into my phone's photo library. I saved the screenshot of the kiss. Then I opened my contacts, scrolled to Savannah, and hit share contact. And I airdropped the screenshot to her. Not to her. To his fiancé. Wait, what? I thought I was the girlfriend, but the iPhone that received the photo was named Ben Fiancé.
I didn't mean to send it to her. I didn't even know there was a her. Not until the airdrop confirmed it. Ben Fiancé. A device I'd never seen on the list before. But it had accepted the photo instantly. No hesitation. And within 5 minutes, I got the first message. Unknown number. Who is this? And why are you sending me pictures of my fiancé with his ex? My fingers froze. I stared at the screen, heart pounding in my ears, trying to figure out what to say, how to explain that I had no idea she existed, that I was just as blindsided, that I had only just found out about Savannah and the chemo lie and the pet cam footage and the kiss at Luna Azul. But I didn't get the chance because she sent a second message. Is this a sick prank? And then she sent her photo. Her and Ben smiling at a candlelit dinner, a sparkly ring on her finger, the same ring I thought he once said belonged to his aunt. I blinked hard. Then came another. Ben standing in front of a cake that said, "She said yes." That cake had been in my fridge last month. I thought it was for his mom's early birthday, but the timeline didn't match. Not unless he was proposing to someone else while living with me. And the next photo proved it. It was a selfie of the mystery woman, blonde, elegant, eyes rimmed in mascara smudgies, standing in my kitchen. I recognized the tile. Caption: Ben said you were his cousin, so who the hell are you? I threw my phone across the room. It hit the couch, bounced, landed screen down. I didn't pick it up. I couldn't. Because if I did, I'd have to admit it. I wasn't even his anything. I was, what? A side piece? A backup plan? A cover story for his real engagement? Or maybe worse, just a duplicate. A girl who lived 2 blocks from the fiancé. A girl whose life he mirrored just enough to keep the timeline straight. Then, the voicemail icon popped up. Not a new one. An old one. One I'd saved months ago. From the day he forgot his phone on the counter and took mine by mistake. I remembered thinking the message was weird back then. A woman's voice, soft, breathy, whispering something like, "I can't wait to start forever with you." Ben had told me it was his sister, his grieving sister, and I'd believed him. But now I hit play. The voice was crystal clear. "I booked the florist today. We'll have lilacs for the table, and I picked a blue tux for you. Don't forget our tasting tomorrow. I still can't believe she bought the chemo story. I love you." Chemo story. She said it again. "I love you." My whole body went cold. I opened my phone again, checked my email. That's when I noticed the shared calendar. Ben had added me to it months ago. He said it helped him stay organized with family obligations. I'd barely glanced at it since, but there it was. Rehearsal dinner, RSVP, Savannah and Ben, florist pickup, engagement shoot at its due. I was supposed to go with him to the florist that day. He told me we were grabbing takeout for his mom. He hadn't gotten food, he'd gotten flowers. For her. My stomach turned. The Petcam app was still open. I scrolled forward through the archived clips. There they were again, Savannah and Ben, walking through the living room, her heels clicking on the tile, his hand on the small of his back. But something caught my eye. She reached into her bag, pulled out a phone, held it up. "Smile," she whispered. Ben turned, grinned. She snapped a photo. Then she said something else. Something I didn't understand at first. But when I turned up the volume, I caught it. "Let's send this to wifey number 2. And Ben, he laughed.
I watched that video 5 times before I realized I wasn't breathing. Wifey number 2. They were laughing about me, filming inside my house, using my pet cam like it was their personal behind-the-scenes channel. Like my entire life had become a punchline in their sick, twisted inside joke. I hit pause on Savannah's smirking face just as she winked at the camera. That wink, it burned into my retinas like a cursed image, a glitch in the matrix, a line I couldn't uncross.
I needed out. I threw on my jacket and bolted. I didn't have a destination, just velocity. I walked in a daze until I found myself in front of Luna Azul, the club, the place where I saw him kiss her, the same one where Savannah told the bartender she was celebrating beating cancer. I had to know. I needed proof, not just footage or texts. I needed someone to confirm what I saw wasn't part of a breakdown, that my brain wasn't fabricating this whole thing. The bartender remembered her immediately. Oh, the Chemo girl? Yeah, she was here like every Friday for a month. Looked fine to me. Smoked like a chimney out back. I blinked. Wait, she smoked? Yeah, like 2 packs a night. I figured she was stressed. Said she was planning a wedding. Did she ever come in with a guy? I asked. He smirked. You mean the tall one with the fake British accent? Ben, that asshole sometimes used a fake accent at parties, said it helped him get better service. The bartender leaned in. They were definitely more than friends, if you catch my drift. I caught it. I wanted to throw it back. I left, barely able to see straight. My ears were ringing. I walked the few blocks home like I was wading through fog. And that's when I saw it. Her car. Savannah's champagne-colored SUV was parked in my driveway. What the fuck? I ran up to the door. It was unlocked. Of course it was. The second I stepped inside, I could hear them. Ben's voice. Casual. Too casual. She'll be up for hours. I told her she had to babysit for my mom. Savannah's giggle. She bought that? They were upstairs. I didn't go up. I couldn't. I just stood frozen in the entryway, every nerve in my body screaming, "Get out!" But my feet wouldn't move. My body was anchored to the last shred of denial. Then, something buzzed in my jacket pocket. I pulled out my phone. Shared location. Ben's iPhone is nearby. No shit, Sherlock. But then another notification popped up. Shared location. Savannah's iPhone is at 2024 Roosevelt Avenue. That wasn't my address. That was hers. So if her phone was there, who the hell was upstairs? I turned around and walked back out of the house, pulse in my throat. I paced the sidewalk, my head spinning with the possibilities. What if Ben was cheating on both of us? What if Savannah had sent someone to confront me? What if this was all a setup? I sat on the curb and replayed the voicemail again. That same sugary voice. She bought the Chemo story. The words twisted around my spine. Then I remembered something. Ben once told me he had a twin. Fraternal, barely talk anymore. Back then, I'd thought it was just a deflection, something vague to avoid a topic. But what if he wasn't lying? What if that wasn't Ben upstairs? What if Savannah had her own backup plan? Suddenly, the front door opened, and standing there, barefoot, holding a glass of wine and my robe, was Savannah's sister, or twin, or clone. Same hair, same lips, but her eyes were slightly different, colder. She smirked at me from the porch. "Oh, you got the wrong Roosevelt Avenue." "Excuse me?" She stepped forward. "Ben said you might show up here eventually. He said you were... What's the word?" She squinted dramatically. "Unstable." And then she dropped it. The wine glass. Right onto my welcome mat. Red soaked through the word home. She tilted her head. "You do look like someone who dreams too much." Then she stepped inside and closed the door. She said I looked like someone who dreams too much. But what do you call it when your dreams start fighting back? That night, I didn't sleep. I refused to. I laid in bed with the pet cam footage looping in my mind like a sick home movie. Savannah winking, her twin in my robe, Ben gaslighting me into oblivion. And then, around 4:17 a.m., I cracked. I grabbed Ben's old iPad from the closet, the one he said died months ago. I remembered it because he used to read off it during work calls. Said it stopped charging. Guess what? It charged just fine, and he was still signed in to his iCloud. What I found should have destroyed me. It didn't. It rebuilt me in rage. Thousands of synced photos, but not just of us. No, there were folders labeled things like Savannah trips, firehouse, and disturbingly, wifey alt. I opened the last one and nearly threw the iPad across the room. Photos of me, but not just me. Me sleeping. Me at the stove. Me holding laundry. Same angles, same outfits, but then intercut with her, Savannah, copying my every move. Same dress, same lipstick, same damn curtains behind her in some of the shots. I checked metadata, locations, timestamps. Some of these were taken minutes apart. I'd be cooking dinner. She'd be posing in a mirror, recreating it. What the actual fuck? Who does that? It was more than cheating. It was replacement. And Ben? He wasn't just in on it. He orchestrated it. In one folder, I found a screen recording of a Notes app conversation between him and Savannah. Ben, she just asked about your name again. Told her you were my cousin. Savannah, aw, I love her curiosity phase. Should I dye my hair darker? Ben, no, not yet. Let her think she's the original. Let her think she's the original. My blood turned to steel. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't cry. All I could do was plan. I needed something explosive, something undeniable, something public. And that's when it hit me. The dream. The one I'd had a week before all this began. The one where Savannah was crying on a couch, talking to a therapist, confessing, I never wanted to lie to her, but he said she'd fall apart if she knew. It felt real. So real, I'd written it down. So I searched the name she muttered in the dream on a whim. And she existed. Psychologist, couples counselor, downtown. I called and pretended to be Savannah, asking about rescheduling a follow-up. Of course, the receptionist chirped. Same time as last week? What time was that again? Tuesday at 10 a.m.? I smiled. Perfect. Tuesday morning, I was there early. I wore sunglasses and a hat and sat in the cafe across the street, watching the entrance like it was a stockout. And at exactly 9:58 a.m., Savannah walked in, alone, hair pinned back, no makeup, a folder in hand. I didn't follow her, not yet. I waited 15 minutes, then marched right across, right up to reception and said the line I'd practiced a dozen times. I think my partner is in there with another woman. I just need a minute. I won't cause a scene. The receptionist hesitated, but something in my eyes must have told her, let her through. The waiting room door buzzed. I stepped in. Another door, the therapist's office. I opened it, and Savannah froze mid-sentence, her face drained of blood. Across from her, Dr. Carter looked up, calm but curious, and between them, on the coffee table, a stack of photos of me. Burnt edges, ripped corners, scribbled notes in the margins. She's an identity anchor, Savannah said. He said if I understood her better, I'd become stable, that it was the only way to keep him. Then she saw me. Oh, she said softly,
You weren't supposed to hear that. I stared at her, then at the therapist, Beck at the table, and then I saw it. One photo circled in red. It wasn't me. It was her wearing my wedding dress.
I lunged, not at her, at the photo. It trembled in my hands as I stared. No, drank in every detail. The scalloped neckline, the pearl buttons down the back, the champagne train that pulled around her feet. It wasn't a copy. It was mine. I remember the boutique where I found it. I remember crying in the dressing room. I remember my mom FaceTiming me, whispering, "That's the one." I remember Ben smiling as I modeled it in front of him, before the wedding, before. So how the hell did Savannah have a photo of herself wearing it? "Where was this taken?" I asked, my voice low, shaking. She blinked. "Ben took it, for practice." "Practice? What the hell does that mean?" Dr. Carter tried to intervene. "This may not be the best environment to process." "Don't." I cut her off. "She just admitted to rehearsing my wedding." Savannah folded her hands calmly on her lap. "It wasn't a rehearsal. It was a visualization exercise. He said it would help me embody the energy." Embody the energy? Like I was a role she was auditioning for. I turned to leave. I couldn't take it. But Dr. Carter said, "There's something you should hear. I recorded our last session. It wasn't protocol, but..." She reached into her drawer and pulled out a small, handheld recorder. "Play it," I said, bracing myself against the doorframe. Static. Then Savannah's voice. "He said she wouldn't survive a breakup, that she was fragile, reactive, obsessive, that if he suspected, even a little, he'd lose custody." Custody? Savannah continued. "So I played along. I kept my distance. I waited. I became her shadow. And when she finally cracked, he said it would be my turn." Dr. Carter stopped the tape. I couldn't breathe. "Cracked?" I repeated. "Is that what this is? A test run for my collapse?" Savannah flinched. "You weren't supposed to know." "Oh, you weren't supposed to know," I snapped. "But you wore my wedding dress. You let him gaslight me? You..." My phone vibrated. A text from Ben. "You at therapy? I left something in your car. Can you buzz me in?" I stared at it. "Buzz him in," I said to the receptionist behind me. "I want him to see this." A minute later, I opened the door just as Ben was reaching for the buzzer. He looked startled. "Babe, what are you doing here?" I didn't say anything, just stepped aside. He walked in and froze when he saw Savannah sitting on the couch. "Oh," he exhaled. "You two met." Savannah whispered, "She played the tape." Ben's smile faltered. "I don't know what you think you heard." Dr. Carter rose. "I think we're done here." He turned to me. "Let's talk. Just us." "No," I said, pushing past him. "Let's talk at home with your shared location data." "What?" I held up my phone. "You forgot you were sharing location with my iPad." He paled. "And funny thing, last week, while I was at my OB appointment, you were pinging from her building." "I was dropping something off," he said quickly. I opened the app. Every Tuesday, every Friday, every night I thought you were working late. Her building, her floor, her unit. Savannah stood. "Ben!" He looked trapped. I walked past them silent. But just as I hit the sidewalk, my phone dinged again. Not from Ben, from my old friend Kylie. "Hey girl, random question. Why is Ben listed as dad on Savannah's baby registry?" I stopped walking. I read it again and again, and the world tilted under me like the sidewalk had cracked open. Ben, a baby registry? And his name was listed as dad.
I didn't respond to Kylie. I just opened the link.
My fingers were ice, tapping the screen like I wasn't the one holding it. Like if I stayed numb enough, maybe it wouldn't register. Maybe I could still wake up from this drenched in sweat, grateful it was just another nightmare. The site loaded. Welcome to Baby List, Savannah's registry. There it was, top of the page. Baby of Savannah Rowe and Ben Lane. Estimated due date November 8. I stared at the screen like I'd been hit by a truck. Not metaphorically. My head buzzed, my skin crawled. November 8th. Do the math. That meant she got pregnant in February? But Ben and I were still together then. He was still telling me he wanted to try, that he was just emotionally cautious after everything with his ex. His ex, who apparently wasn't so ex at all. I tapped through the list. Bottles, blankets, books with titles like Daddy and Me. And at the bottom, contributions for a nursery makeover. Thank you for helping us build a home. Build a home? Ben and I had just finished repainting our guest room. I'd picked the wallpaper myself. It was supposed to be a reading nook, a quiet space, not a damn nursery for his other family. My knees nearly gave out. That's when I remembered the dream, the recurring one I'd had every week for a month, me in a house that wasn't mine, walking down a hallway toward a closed door. Inside, I could hear Ben's voice, soft, soothing, and then a woman's laugh. Every time I reached for the doorknob, I'd wake up. I thought it was stress, my subconscious playing tricks, a metaphor. Now, it was prophetic, and I hadn't listened. I called Ben, straight to voicemail. I opened the Pet Cam app next, our little indoor cam in the living room. Mostly we used it to check on our dog, but recently I'd noticed random footage deleted, clips missing from the history. I tapped through the archive. Empty, except for one unlabeled, uncut file. A timestamp, last Tuesday, 8:47. I hit play. It took a second to buffer, then Ben. On our couch, Savannah, lying across his lap, her belly already showing, and he was talking to it. I hope she gets your eyes, he whispered. Savannah giggled, or your mouth, that lying mouth of yours. He grinned and kissed her. I shut the phone off, smashed it against the coffee table so hard the screen split. I didn't even realize I was screaming until the dog ran out of the room. My life wasn't crumbling. It had already crumbled, and I'd been dancing on the ashes thinking it was dust from renovations. There was one more thing I needed to know. I drove, shaking, to my mom's place, where we'd kept some of the backup boxes from the wedding. Buried in a stack of RSVP envelopes and dried flower samples was a file folder labeled Proof of Ceremony. Inside, a copy of our wedding license, signed by the officiant, stamped by the state. And under Witness 1, Savannah Rowe. She wasn't just there that day. She was in the front row, smiling. And now she was listed as mom on a damn baby registry. I didn't cry. I couldn't. All I could think was, if this was her dream, then what the fuck had mine been?
I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I didn't cry. I planned. Because if Savannah and Ben wanted to build a life out of lies, they could damn well do it in public. And I had everything I needed. The footage, the registry, the dream. But the pièce de résistance? That came from a place even they couldn't hide. Ben's old voicemail. Buried deep in a backup from 2 phones ago, I remembered the night he was grieving. The night he said his grandma had passed and he just needed to be alone. I remembered being worried, leaving a sweet message. And I remembered something else. the soft sound of a second voice whispering his name in the background. Back then, I told myself it was the TV. Now, I isolated the audio, ran it through an app, enhanced it. And what I heard? Savannah's voice, clear as day. "She's never gonna leave if you don't tell her." My stomach dropped. Again. He'd been with her that night, the night I made him soup, dropped it off at his door, and cried on the drive home because he hadn't answered. He was screwing Savannah and letting me grieve a dead grandmother who wasn't even dead. And now they were planning baby showers. I uploaded everything, every file, every screenshot, every twisted receipt of betrayal, into a shared Google Drive labeled, "Guess Who's Not the Daddy?" I didn't send it to him. I didn't send it to Savannah. I sent it to the wedding guest group chat, to my mother, to his boss, and then finally to the inbox of the woman who'd been so kind when I bumped into her at the coffee shop last week. The one who'd mentioned she was Ben's landlord. The one who'd said, "He seems so nice." She deserved to know who was living in the apartment she owned with the rent I helped cover. 30 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Email subject line, "Eviction notice forwarded." Message, "Thought you might want to see this. Also, I'm free for a drink next week if you need a friend." I smiled for the first time in days. That night, I dreamed again. The hallway, the door. But this time, I didn't hesitate. I opened it, and inside wasn't Ben or Savannah. It was just me, alone, but standing, breathing, smiling. Sometimes the biggest betrayal doesn't come from them. It comes from how far we bend to believe them. But dreams don't lie. Neither does DNA. And Savannah, she can keep the registry. Because the only thing she'll be unwrapping now is consequences.